a running game, we've been talking about it 4 years now. If you just get a running game and highlight one of these quarterbacks, I think that it's just going to be complementary football and things are going to work really well. And Julian's just built to play in that type of system.
We're here talking the biggest storylines ahead of Colorado spring practices, which begin next week. We have officially made it, man. Spring practices are officially upon us, and it seems like it's a good time to talk about this offense a little bit, right? Preview this offense ahead of spring ball. We're going to go position by position, kind of talk about the top storylines at each position.
All right.
We got to start at the sport's most important position, and that's quarterback, right? Julian Lewis is the guy returning for his redshirt freshman season. And honestly, the storyline for this position to me, and I'll open it up to you guys, is how does Julian Lewis fit in Brennan Marion's go-go offense? Or maybe the better question is, how does the go-go offense fit Julian Lewis? What do you guys say?
I think he's an amazing fit. And the idea that the quarterback has to be a runner in this offense, I think, is a lazy idea. You can go back to, Jordan Maiava at UNLV and see the way that Brennan Marion kind of adapted his offense and created more of a passing offense while also sticking to the principles that make the go-go offense special. I think the defining characteristic of a great offensive coordinator is someone who adapts to their personnel. What Brennan Marion has in Julian Lewis is the most gifted passer he's ever had at quarterback.
Yeah.
So he's obviously going to take advantage of that. And I think that what happens is you get a real running game developing in front of Julian Lewis.
Yes.
And you make it real easy for him to throw over and behind linebackers, which that area of the field, the middle intermediate throws, are where he succeeds the most. So I think in the end, we're going to be looking back at this as a perfect fit.
I agree. I think that you look at this, and I think really what Brennan Marion wants at the position is a good decision maker.
Definitely.
Right? And we saw that just in the 3 games he started last year, Julian did. He was making smart decisions. He hardly ever puts the ball at risk. There's not really times where it's like, oh, he should have kept that RPO, or maybe he should have thrown that one. Like, the kid just knows football, right? And it comes with the territory of being Julian Lewis, playing at a high level at Carrollton for 4 years as a true freshman in high school, all the way through. I mean, didn't even get to his senior year. Like, he was just ready to play college football. And I think that Brennan Marion is going to highlight his strengths. This wide receiving core obviously is loaded with talent, but a running game, we've been talking about it 4 years now. If you just get a running game and highlight one of these quarterbacks, I think that it's just going to be complementary football and things are going to work really well. And Julian's just built to play in that type of system.
No doubt. Both of you guys make really salient points. A lot of people like to say that, you need a running quarterback in this go-go offense, and that's just a common misconception. Coach Brennan Marion has said it quite literally, quote, all you need is a quarterback who can understand how to distribute the football. He doesn't have to be a runner. And Julian Lewis knows how to distribute that damn football. It was what he was born to do.
And let's also not forget that Julian Lewis has legs.
Yes, he does. Sneaky athleticism.
Yes.
100%. And Brennan Marion bringing over an emphasis on the run game is just going to do wonders for Julian. It's going to take pressure, a ton of it off of him. During Julian's 2 starts last year, Colorado averaged 2.9 yards per carry.
Come on, man.
2.9 yards per carry for a true freshman's first 2 starts at the college level. Like, that is almost setting him up for failure. And I know Brennan Marion not going for that in 2026. So let's transition to these running backs. A lot of new faces, Richard Young, a couple Sac State guys as well. The top storyline is who's going to emerge as the workhorse, or maybe a couple of workhorses. What say you guys?
I think that you do kind of want that quote-unquote bell cow player. I think you got a lot of players in this system, though, that fulfill needs. DeKalen Taylor specifically, right?
Yes.
Like, not too long ago on the show, we talked a lot about him and how he can be, how Brennan Marion's kind of stamped him, honestly, as one of his guys, right? Micah, I mean, we all know what he's capable of and how tough of a runner he is, but I think that that's one thing that's missed from this run game the last few years is guys haven't been able to really get in a groove, right? Like, a bit of a runway, meaning get 6 carries. Whatever happens on those 6 carries happens, but we're going to keep feeding you the rock after that. And it does take some feeling that out, right? You obviously want to see what everyone can offer in this backfield because you have 2 guys coming in from Sac State who have so much experience in this offense. And I think that is a big boon for them and, Henderson and Jaquil Smith's chances in this offense for sure. But I look at someone like Richard Young and how imposing of a player he is, and like you can't give that guy 3 carries, right? And just be like, all right, like that's enough. Like you got to keep feeding a guy like that. You got to impose yourself on the defense, wear on them. Micah can do that too. So while I did kind of describe Micah and Richard Young for the most part, I think that this entire spring is going to be about just finding who can generate momentum and who gets better as the carries kind of go on, so that you kind of have somewhat of a start going into the season.
And when you talk about getting guys in a rhythm and giving them carries, I think you have to think about it slightly different in the go-go offense. There's 2 of them on the field at all times.
Yes.
And when I talk to running backs at any level, they always talk about needing to be on the field so they can see and feel out the defense.
Right.
Well, in this case, you don't even necessarily have to be getting carries to be seeing and feeling what the defense is doing, because in a lot of these cases, you might be the lead blocker. So you're still getting an idea of how things are happening on the offensive line and defensive line. And so, you look at this group and it's like you have 6 scholarship running backs, but think of all of the different combinations of 2 you can create out of that. And so a lot of those guys are going to be out there significantly more snaps than any of the running backs were last year, just because there's so many more opportunities to get running backs on the field. But you didn't even mention Damian Henderson as a guy who I think maybe a sleeper, if you can even call him that, to end up being the bell cow of this team. But he was that for Brennan Marion last year, and I think that gives him a huge advantage heading into spring ball.
There's just so many different skill sets in that running back room that Brennan Marion's going to be able to use to this team's advantage and put defenses just in binds.
Yeah.
I just like the differing skill sets in that room, and I'm excited to see how they all get deployed in this go-go offense. Receiver is a spot that is not usually lacking at Colorado under Coach Prime, and they added 4, in my opinion, game changers at that position via the portal this offseason. Obviously, DeAndre Moore, Danny Scudero, Cam Perry, and Ernest Campbell over from Sac State. Those are 4 guys. You add that group in addition to JoJo Williams, who had a really strong true sophomore year last year, Quentin Gibson, Quanell Farrakhan Jr. The question is, are there enough targets and touches to go around? What do you guys make of that?
Survival of the fittest. Best players are going to get the football. It's, Shador kind of had this, he would have his guys like for a game, right? Like this is a LaJonte game. Like UCF was like a Will Shepherd game. You know what I mean? Like Travis Hunter always got his, but like when it came to the role, NDSU was Jimmy. You know what I mean? Like, and I think you're going to see a lot of that too. It is kind of like the running back room for me. I think it's a question of who's just going to emerge as the guy.
Right.
And that person will get 10 to 15 targets a game. The other guys, it's just going to be, you got to make the most out of what you get. And we talked about this on the show recently too. The difference between Brennan Marion and the prior offensive coordinator in the system, it's going to be completely different.
9 days.
You're going to see so many guys just running wide open and guys literally getting schemed open, that it's going to be about who fits that role best, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a crowded room for sure, a very talented room, but it's just about making the most of the opportunities. I mean, it's going to be impossible to predict week in, week out basis. I think you just want to see pure competition, guys making plays all throughout spring into fall. And if that happens enough, I'm feeling great.
Yeah, I think the touches will find the people that deserve them. And if you're earning those touches in practice, if you're earning those in games, if you show yourself to be a game breaker who can make big plays, Brennan Marion is going to find a way to get you the ball.
Yeah.
Not all offensive coordinators are like this, but I remember Kyle Shanahan once saying that he doesn't call a play that he doesn't think can score a touchdown. I really think that Brennan Marion comes from that same cloth.
Yeah.
And so if you're a guy that can make those plays and shows that you're making those plays, he's going to find a way to get you the ball. And like we talk so much about the running game because we think it's such a staple of what they do, and I think it will continue to be.
Yeah.
But if this team just makes explosive play after explosive play with Julian Lewis in the pass game, they're going to keep throwing it.
100%.
Totally.
I mean, you mentioned Myalva earlier. He threw for over 3,000 yards as a freshman a couple years ago in that go-go offense at UNLV. So I think that is kind of the baseline for what Julian can do in this offense here moving forward. We talked about receivers. They aren't the only guys catching passes, right? This tight end room, I think I've talked about Fisher Clements, the Northern Colorado transfer, 6'7", 250, 60 pounds, kind of a true blocker. Brady Kopetz, a.k.a. Brick, is back as well. But this room, to me, comes down to Zach Atkins.
Yep.
And the question is, will Zach Atkins take the leap here in 2026? Because this offense, this team, this quarterback is going to be depending on him, I think, a lot in 2026. Will he make the leap?
Yes, and it's because of the space that he is going to have.
Yes.
The people, the track team, almost literally, that Brennan Marion has assembled of wide receivers is just going to force this defense to just spread out so quickly when the ball is snapped. And what that is going to leave is nothing but space for Zach Atkins to operate. And Julian Lewis is going to get the ball to the guys that are wide open.
For sure.
But I think that you're going to see Zach Atkins catch dozens of passes this year where there's just really no one around him. You know, he's almost a check down option because there's so much vertical stuff happening. But because of that, it's just cleared out. And, you know, you got him just like on a little drag or a little over the ball where there's just no one there.
Totally. I think the RPO game in this offense is going to be huge for Zach Atkins. Little pop passes, tight end flat routes. That type of stuff I think is just going to be easily drawn up by Brennan Marion. And I think when you have a player like Zach Atkins, it's pretty tantalizing to, you know, kind of use that size out in space like that, right? So, honestly, I don't even think it's a question about Zach Atkins making the leap. I think he has the talent. I think he has all the ability. I think it's just about him being put in situations to succeed, having just a working offense. It wasn't working last year. The quarterback play wasn't good enough. You couldn't run the football. There was just a disjointed scheme in terms of fits and all kinds of stuff, and he got caught up in that. I don't think that's going to happen as much this year. I think Brennan Marion's going to put him in good positions, and if he's just there and open, I think the football will find him, and he's going to have a very productive season, not to mention his blocking chops, too. I mean, in this go-go, he's going to be a real weapon in that game as well. So
100%. I think the red zone is going to be Zach Atkins' area where he makes defenses pay and where Brennan Marion goes out of his way to make sure Zach Atkins is involved. Because in the red zone, that's the difference in a lot of games. Do you get in the end zone? Do you punch it in, or do you have to settle for 3? Or do you have to turn it over, make a mistake in the red zone? And I think Zach Atkins, his ability to work in short areas, be a big body in the red zone is going to make him a valuable piece of this offense as well. But yeah, man, spring is in less than a week, y'all. If y'all want to hear our thoughts on this offensive line and whether we believe this offensive line is maybe the deepest, maybe the most complete unit of the Coach Prime era, we talked about that recently on the show, so go check that out. But this was fun, man.
We all silly like the mayor.